Okay, hello and welcome to PGA Live. Since the golf industry was allowed to open and reopen in May, we've seen a huge surge in demand of membership, visitor rounds and driving range usage. As a golf industry, we've been very fortunate that we've been able to reopen early. On today's webinar, we wanted to get into a bit more detail around the travel sector of the golf industry specifically. We know that the travel industry has been hit very hard. There's been a wide range of restrictions. There's been challenges with consumer confidence and many operational challenges which continue to change on a fairly often a regular basis. With the support of some special guests joining us today, we wanted to discuss this subject further. Specifically, we wanted to find out where golfers are traveling under these restrictions, how golf tour operators are managing that demand, the operational challenges currently sort of in place. We wanted to get some insight from one of the largest golf resorts in Europe about the steps they've taken to be operationally safe, what that customer experience is like, and also wanted to get some feedback on what that experience is like from a PGA member who's recently travelled. So today I'm joined by Ben Foster, Head of Pro Travel of PGA Principal Partner Golfbreaks.com. Welcome, Ben.
Thanks, Rich.
We're also joined by James Stewart, Resort Director of PGA Principal Partner The Belfry. Hi, James.
Good morning. Good morning.
And finally, John Cheetham, PGA member and Golfbreaks Pro Travel Ambassador.
Morning, Rich.
Phenomenal range of job titles there, gents. Great to have you with us. So if we kick off, Ben, probably coming to you just initially, just to start the conversation going, how have the changes in demand and confidence levels for golf travel impacted your business?
Yeah, thanks, Rich. Well, yeah, I mean, the recent travel restrictions abroad and domestically over the last 6 months have had a huge impact on our business, particularly demand, obviously. From sort of April to June, we had over 80,000 golfers that we had to contact and move due to full lockdowns. And as a result, the last 6 months have been a really challenging period for us, as it has been for most people. One of the main reasons confidence has been dented, particularly amongst travellers abroad, is the need to self-quarantine on return for 14 days for countries that aren't currently on the UK average list. And as we know at the moment, the majority of popular golfing destinations are on there. So it has been a frustrating period for us after enduring what we thought was probably the worst of the COVID outbreak at the beginning of those first couple of months from March. Popular destinations such as Spain, Portugal and France only remained on that UK average list for a couple of weeks. On the flip side though, most UK resorts, when they open back up in July, the demand for domestic travel has gone through the roof. And it's obviously great to see, because this has enabled us to still get golfers out there and experience a number of fantastic resorts similar to the Belfry and get them back out on the course again. And certainly with the recent spell of good weather, the increased demand for UK travellers has not really shown any sign of letting up yet.
Very good. Now it's great to see that UK demand. There's some phenomenal golf resorts across the UK that golfers will be enjoying. It's great. James, how's the demand been since sort of you were able to reopen your golf facilities? I know you were slightly later in opening, getting all the restrictions in place, not the restrictions, sorry, all the operational details in place, but how's the demand been since reopening over the last 2 to 3 months?
I mean, to be fair, I mean, the initial opening, we decided, obviously, when the Golf Safe accreditation was pulled in by the Parliamentary Golf Group, the R&A, PGA and everybody and all the other bodies that pulled together to get golf open first, which was the first sport. We knew in our minds that we could operate golf safely, having been part of that group. We took a couple of weeks longer due to us having 3 golf courses to make sure that we had every single process, risk assessment in place to ensure that we did operate safely. And that involved also our local environmental health, the local constabulary. So we involved all the local authority bodies in what we were doing, because obviously as a brand, the last thing we wanted to do was to operate unsafely. It certainly wouldn't be the way that we've operated in the past, and certainly not the way we operate currently or in the future. We've been very surprised that the demand for golf when we first opened, we only opened 2 golf courses, the Brabazon and the PGA. We kept the Derby closed because at that particular stage we hadn't the resource due to everybody being on furlough to keep that up to a good standard. and we were surprised that, you know, initially it was 2-ball, and that was just then packed. We then went to 4-ball when that was released. We then found that was packed, and by which stage then we brought back more people from Farlow to allow us to get the Derby open, which then coincided on, that was sort of the 4th of June, then the 4th of July was when the main hotel opened. And from that moment on, residential golf, and again in partners, you know, Golfbreaks, etc., has gone through the roof. I mean, we're averaging 670 golfers per day over the 3 courses at the weekend. In-house, we've had to limit the accommodation due to social distancing, and be able to allow people to dine safely. And we're averaging about 540 in-house at the weekends. Midweek's a slightly different story, but to give you a flavour of, you will not get a tea time at the Belfry, or you may be lucky if somebody cancels, but the earliest tea time now is the 24th of November. So golf is booming, and I know that that's across the whole industry wide. So really, golf being a safe sport, social distancing operating rightly under the guidelines, and it's a healthy sport. It's been fabulous for us.
Very good. James, just staying on that sort of demand and staying with you, the current demand that you're seeing, well, do you expect that to pick up the shortfall of the closure for the 2 to 3 months that you were closed? Do you expect by the end of the year to have picked up the shortfall in rounds played, or where are you forecasting to be versus 2019?
No, I mean, obviously, golf at the moment, we won't pick up the shortfall because, again, that was quite busy months for us. That sort of March, April, May period, there was no chance that we'll pick that back up. But what we have seen is that we're back to sort of normal levels currently at the moment. Obviously, the nights are drawing in now. We're certainly seeing future golf pace for next year, which specifically some will be rebooks. But again, similar to Bennett at Golfbreaks, we're seeing that demand for staycation and golf breaks for next year, I think, will be higher because individuals are still concerned about going overseas, it being cancelled. You know, disappointingly for Celtic Manor, they've had to close due to the Welsh Government restrictions. So again, you are dependent on what is going to happen with government restrictions. So at the moment, we're extremely positive that next year is going to be a great year for golf, and hopefully for the rest of our segments, but specifically golf. And I think what Ben's saying is exactly mirroring what I've just said. It will continue. That's
great. Ben, how is advanced travel and advanced bookings for 2021 looking from a Golfbreaks perspective? How does next year look currently?
Yeah, I mean, our pace for next year is well ahead of where we would expect. Similar to what James just said there, is the guys at Golfbreaks have done a fantastic job over the last 6 months, and the majority of those bookings of golfers have actually rebooked for next year. So that's where we see the main increase in our pace for next year. The challenge for us now is to bring as many new bookings on or new golfers on board as possible. Yeah, we are a long way ahead of where we would expect to be at the moment.
Very good. John, I know you've recently been to Carden Park. I know you take members away on a regular basis and use travel as part of your sort of service operation more broadly. Recently returned with a group. How was that experience?
On the whole, Rich, it was one of the feedback. It was a group of 16 women. So, and that was a lot of them. That was their first time almost experiencing this. Some have been cautious in going away, but I think with the steps that the venues have put in place, as James was saying, all the measures these hotels have put in place, Carden Park have put the same measures in place. So from my perspective, it was a case of communicating that with the group well in advance. Just reassuring, instilling confidence that all these measures are in place, adapting slightly from my side of things with any pre-round coaching or clinics I do at venues, just slightly staggering the arrival times, smaller groups. But on the whole, it was one of the most successful trips we've ever had, and the ladies absolutely loved the break. And I think just that interaction again with the group, seeing the friends in a safe manner was brilliant. The feedback was fantastic. We even attracted a few non-golfers who wanted to come along and just have a break away, and they recently opened a new spa there as well, which the ladies loved. So on the whole, the feedback was brilliant, and I think the only adaptation from my point of view was just communicating all the good work that, the golf breaks, that these major hotels are put in place. As the person who's running the trip, I've got to really communicate that through to each lady in advance to make sure they arrive and they know exactly what's happened over the 2 days. Everything's laid on, and the confidence sort of grew from there. So by the end of the second day, they were laughing, joking, having an unbelievable time. So it was great to see after a long period of not being able to travel. It was really good.
Very good. Well, John, when you promoted that trip, did you see a lot of initial demand because of that sort of pent-up frustration of being, through lockdown? Did it sell out really quick, or did you have to educate your clients on what to expect and how it's going to manage? Did you have to reassure them, or was the demand initially straight there?
Yeah, so the trip, the way I work with golf breaks, and the demand, I tend to plan these trips well in advance. So at the start of the year, I had the calendar laid out for the women's academy, so they've got all these events to go to. So I had initial booking of ladies in, and then as the lockdown got released, a few more non-golfers came on, which sold out the trip. So I reached the maximum numbers I could take as sort of one golf coach, if you like. So I was comfortable doing that on my own. But the demand was there to go more than that. But I had that initial booking of 16 before lockdown, so I tried to cap it at that. The demand to go back to these venues is definitely there, and definitely from what Ben's saying, UK demand, not just for overnight stays, but just rounds of golf, and is huge at the moment. So yeah, we've still got a few more events later in the year to come, which are still on. So hopefully they'll be all fine, but the UK demand absolutely there, and the Carden Park trip was a huge success.
Really good. You said about UK demand, though. Are you getting any demand from your clients to go abroad again? And are they starting to ask questions about next year, or what's the sort of the landscape there?
Yeah, so we had a group of 18 women going to Elron Pedo in May just gone, and obviously worked with Golf Breaks, who were great, moving that to the following year. So we've just moved that to the following year. We still have a break on in November this year to Argentario Resort in Italy. So that's still going ahead as normal, because Italy's not come on the off that list, if you like. So that's still going ahead, all being well. The women are absolutely fine to go to that. The main concern with a couple of them is just, as Ben said, it's the quarantine coming back. It's not necessarily actually going out there. A few of the women have been on holiday themselves this year and felt fine and safe to do so, but it's just whether that quarantine is an issue for working, when I'm working, and myself as well, obviously, does it impact me? So we'll play that one by make a decision on that over the next few weeks. I'm just monitoring that list quite closely at the moment with the countries coming off and on. It's quite difficult to judge, but the demand for overseas is still certainly there for next year, I'd say. And over the winter, I'll look to do some more UK breaks to keep the travel going.
It's been tough, isn't it? I think you make a great point there about quarantine, and there has been a lot of changes in different regulations, and that quarantine rule and the impact that's going to have on consumer confidence and their ability to travel. But Ben, how's that been managed at Golf Breaks? Obviously, different countries coming on and off safe lists. How's that been managed, and what's the feedback been from customers on that subject?
Yeah, I mean, it's been very challenging, obviously, because it changes on such a regular basis that from one week to the next, we don't know what is going to be on, which one's coming off. Like I said at the beginning, Spain and Portugal sort of off and on for a very short period of time. In terms of how we try to manage that at Golf Breaks, we have extended the sort of final balance payments and tried to give our clients as much time as possible to make a decision, and also obviously try and enable as many of them to go as possible. So that's one step we've put in place. I think the general opinion on travel is not so much that they're worried, similar to what John was just saying there. They're not so much worried about going because of what's going on. It's more the case that if they can't self-isolate for 2 weeks when they get home, that is the main issue really for the majority of these golfers. They still really want to go. A lot of these customers have had the breaks booked in for maybe even up to 12 months. They are desperate to go still, with what's been going off. But the main issue is the fact that they may have to self-quarantine for 2 weeks when they get back, and obviously if they're at work, it's just not feasible. So in that case, what we've tried to do is be as flexible as possible. and try and then rebook the break for a future date so they can still travel, albeit maybe in a few months' time. Or if they didn't want to book for next year and go to the same venue, we then tried to move it to a UK venue so they can still go away this year. And like I said, we've tried to be as flexible as possible. There's no admin fees or anything for changing venues or destinations. So we've really just tried to make as many breaks go ahead as possible so these guys can get back out there and enjoy it.
Knowing the Golf Breaks operation as I do, I imagine that's been tens of thousands of phone calls from a lot of different customers over quite a short period of time.
Yeah, I mean, we've been pretty, it's been pretty hectic in that office, without a doubt. Well, not in the office. I mean, we sort of, when lockdown first came in, we mobilised the whole team and effectively turned a sales team into a service team overnight. So they, we've had sort of 160 people working from home. And the majority of that has been service-led in contacting these customers. Like I said, sort of March through to June, we've had over 80,000 golfers that we've had to contact, purely to move them, see what they want to do with the break, because we're in a full lockdown period. And that has really continued on from there. As you can imagine, there's plenty of questions coming through. If you've got a large group going, there are sometimes are a bit wary of going, and basically help to make sure that they're obviously happy and try and get the rest of the group to go away.
Very good. James, obviously, Belfry Resort is a massive facility, and you have plenty of space as a resort. However, knowing the resort as I do, there could be thousands of people on site at any one time when you were fully open. How have you? What steps have you made to make sure that the whole facility can be open, people can have a good experience? What sort of steps have you put in more broadly? Just sort of not just thinking about the golf, thinking about the resort, obviously from that residential experience.
Yeah, I mean, effectively, we've had to comply with the government guidelines, but the view that we've taken as a business because of the brand, we've then gone sort of over and above those steps. So first and foremost, the key for us was our team are safe alongside our clients, and what's that customer journey look like. So in lockdown, we had a few that were working from home, we had a few that were actually locked in. A couple were locked in the Belfry with me for 12 weeks, which I thoroughly enjoyed. But it gave us the time to pull together risk assessments, guidelines, processes, protocols, and put them into play. We were very fortunate that in lockdown, we got permission from the government and Premier League to host Aston Villa and their visiting teams as elite sports. So that allowed us to put into play all the processes and principles from the journey, the directional signage, the sense of arrival, the sanitizer, all the signage, the track and trace we put track and trace in on iPads around all F&B areas at reception, all screens, etc. Reception desks, spa, restaurant, check-in stations, bedrooms, all sanitized. So electrostatic guns we purchased so that sort of sprays all the rooms, kills every bug that you could think of, including the COVID. And we removed out of bedrooms unnecessary clutter. And then from that perspective, if you take a housemaid, plastic aprons, that was only used once. When they were in the bedroom, then they were disposed of safely. Then the door is sealed with we've got an hour pledge, keep safe. So then the door is sealed with a sticker, and nobody goes into that room apart from them, the customer. We've introduced technology, so self check-in. So you got your key card on your phone, so you can actually not necessarily need to come to reception and stand in a 2-meter safe queue. We put in room service ordering, so you can actually order in your app. Again, QR codes we've got within our bars, so you can actually just pick the QR code up, see what the menu is, and then place the order. So there's an awful lot of work on them behind. I mean, technically, again, with our team, we've made sure that the team coming on site, they've got one special car park for all of us. We come in our casual clothes. We got a COVID checking station. So basically they're temperature checked. We've got 5-6 questions which relate to COVID symptoms. If anybody sort of answers yes to one of those, they're sent immediately home. maybe we've been responsible for the lack of tests being available, because we've been sending them home and saying, right, go get a test, because once you've got the negative test and it's proven, then we will allow you back into work. So we've been pretty rigid on the safety measures here. Again, with masks, etc. So when that was introduced into golf retail first and foremost, then into the rest of the resort, all our team that were coming back from Farlow were inducted through the new COVID guidelines that we've introduced as a business. And the team, we've not got to forget we're in hospitality, and we've not got to forget, people are coming away here to enjoy themselves. So the team have adapted brilliantly to still being hospitable and smiling behind the mask, to delivering service, but on restricted guidelines. So, we're now adapting today to the new guidelines of a 10 o'clock, all bars, restaurants closed. Every area now is seating. So we've amended our risk assessments, we've amended our processes yesterday, we've implemented everything this morning. So it's been a whole team effort to try and just ensure that the Belfry stays as a hospitality business, but operating under the government guidelines and the safety measures and over and above it. So it's really been about what can we do rather than what can't we do. So the attitude from the team here and from ourselves is what can we do? And that similarly then, as I say, helped us with the ISPS Handa UK Championship that we recently held. When the European Tour guys arrived for their first chat, the processes and the protocols that we have in place for our suppliers and our contractors, and I'm sure you've seen it yourself, Richard, that were pretty tight and pretty stringent. And on the back of that highlighted us to get England's, good to go, visit England accreditation, also the meeting industries events. We've got AIM secure again from that perspective, and certainly from the golf end of the business. So the key to us is to make sure that everybody that is coming to the Belfry, feels safe before they arrive. They get all the information by email and the reservation booking, telling them what our pledge is and how we're operating. And the key element is that on that initial inquiry, we make them feel safe. And again, we're partners like Golfbreaks. We've had a great relationship, and I have to say, Andrew Stanley and Steve and Ben and Judith and the team there have done a great job in working in partnership with all the resorts, all the golf resorts, certainly in the UK and I'm sure overseas as well, and what they've had to do to support each other in making sure that their clients that they're booking with us are safe and vice versa. So it's been a UK-wide partnership, certainly from the hospitality sector and the golf sector and the PGA involvement as well with Rob and yourself, Richard, that has made golf safe, and the wider business of how we operate as a total resort to go out there and say, yes, we're safe. You're always going to have those individuals that perhaps come and stay that really shouldn't have come and stayed, who have never been away for a while, and then come and go, my God, this is too much. There's masks, there's sanitizer, there's signs. I've got to sit. That's the life we're going to be in for the next, well, at least certainly the end of this year and certainly next year. So we as businesses and as professionals have to make it as safe and professional and as enjoyable as we can, and that's been our key aim. And working with our partners in the local authorities and in government, our local MP Craig Tracy, who's on the Parliamentary Golf Group, with quite a few of us, has been instrumental in supporting us, making sure that golf was the first industry back. And I think it shows with the numbers of people that we've got coming through our doors in the golf, and how golf has grown, and how you're lucky to get a round of golf. And I think it's just, it's obviously managed by the different governments, devolved governments in Scotland, Wales, England, Northern Ireland, that they have sort of different approaches to it. But certainly I would say that any golf resort that's operating in the UK, and John's just mentioned Carden Park, knowing Hamish there, they'll be operating over and above again. And we can't do any more than that. So, our clients, everybody should feel any resort, any golf club is a safe place to come.
I mean, yeah, James, obviously our headquarters, the PGA headquarters, are based very on your property, and I'm in your facilities, in your property regularly for meetings. And I have to say, I think your staff have been phenomenal. The experience has been, it's been great. And I was in there this morning early for a meeting, and golfers are in there having a great time. it's safe, everyone's spaced out, it's orderly, and you're still able to have a bit of banter with your staff. They're enjoying the challenge, and I think the experience has been great. Obviously, golfers, there's been a bit of that sort of pent up demand. Great that they can get out, see friends again. We know that golfers will have a few drinks after their round. How's sort of consumer behaviour been, James, after they've had their 4 or 5 beers after their round? Have generally people sort of trodden the safe line, or how's that been, managing that experience?
Yeah, I mean, it's like anything. Once the drink goes in, the wit goes out now and again with certain individuals. We all like a party, myself included. But to be fair, the team, obviously, we've operated 6 inside, 6 outside. Up until 2 weeks ago, we were operating 4 inside. It's worked well. I mean, again, it's about the sense of arrival. It's informing them before they've arrived. It's informing them when they arrive, and it's doing it in a humorous way. It's doing it with a bit of banter and a bit of empathy. So we're not running a prison. You're running a hospitality business. So the behaviour, 98% has been brilliant, and the clients, the members, the visitors have embraced that, and they've accepted the policies and procedures we put in is for themselves. John's talking about the group of ladies that he took away. Again, obviously with restrictions, there's a larger party, but they'll be staying there in their tables of 6 in the restaurant, and there'll be 2 separate tables, etc. They'll be sitting in the bar area and a table of 6, or maybe even they might have been in bubbles of 2, whichever way they want to operate. But they're able to be there and be safe and have an enjoyable time. So the behaviour's generally been great. I think the challenge moving forward for us, obviously, and we'll find out tonight, is a 10 o'clock curfew, where all the F&B facilities have to be shut and closed by 10. But again, we're adaptable. This industry, the business that we're in, we're all flexible, we're adaptable, and we're quick to change, and we operate and we act quickly and efficiently. And I think that is something that, from a government perspective, albeit that they put the restrictions on the hospitality and our industry at this moment in time, we are one of the safest operating businesses, and I'm talking general UK hospitality, that you could possibly want. And therefore, we'll continue to do that. We'll adapt to it. We'll ensure that our clients and our members have a good time under the guidelines. And we just pray and hope that moving forward, we get a vaccine and we can get back to what will be, whatever normal looks like, in 6 months, 7 months, or 8 months. But golf is here to stay, and golf is safe, and golf will grow. I don't see the demand for golf, reducing, because there is no other sport that people are being able to get into. If you can't go watch the rugby, the football, whatever, and you can't do sport more than 6 unless you're an elite, golf's the best thing to do, and it's the safest.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben, I know that your department at Golfbreaks there sort of solely looks after PGA members who are travelling. I know from my previous background and previous experience that you have hundreds and hundreds of PGA members who entrust Golfbreaks for their members' coaching trips, their members' trips, and I know you've got guys out on the road, sort of again keeping that relationship going and talking to members. And I know that PGA members have been at the front line in reopening golf now for the last sort of 4 months. They're very, very busy. Some will be looking to start golf trips again, time allowing. Some will be getting demand for their members. Again, probably just come back to you really for a final word of this will go out to PGA members. What's your message to them around golf and golf travel?
Yeah, I think just to touch on what James has said there is, all these resorts and venues, the thousands of venues and resorts we work with across the globe, are all very switched on to these COVID guidelines. And James, you've obviously gone above and beyond there with what you've put in place to make golfers feel as safe as possible. Again, I think most pros and golfers are fully aware of what these restrictions are at the moment. They have it in everyday life. Wash your hands, wear a mask. Everyone's pretty used to that now. So it is about setting expectations certainly as well, and that's what we've tried very hard to do over the last 6 months, is be quite proactive in that sense and reach out to our clients and just make them aware of what to expect really when they get to these resorts, so not shocked or maybe disappointed once they arrive. In terms of travel for golf pros, I mean, we know it's we do know it's one of the most safe sports to be involved in at the moment. That was one of the reasons it was last to shut down initially and one of the first to open back up again. You know, green fees or visitor rounds of golf have been up over 60%, I think, for the last 3 months on this period last year, which is great to see. You know, I think there's over 20,000 new members coming to these golf clubs. So, yeah, these golf pros have been extremely busy over this period and also been instrumental in reopening the golf clubs and getting golfers back out on the golf course again. I think as restrictions continue to linger a little bit and golf being deemed as one of the safe sports, I do think that will continue to perform quite well. In terms of taking groups away, I mean, Rich, you obviously know when we went to Golfbreaks before, it's for a PGA Pro to take groups away. There's so many benefits involved with that. You know, it's a great way to make some additional income, engage with the members. I think certainly as golf clubs and golf pros, I suppose, look to retain these new members that they've had come on board. I mean, you're talking about 20,000 new members in that period. Travel can also offer a great opportunity to help retain those members. You know, taking a group away of new members or even current members that have been there for a number of years and get them engaging together, build some great relationships with them. It is a really good way to do it. And whilst we don't know what the restrictions are going to be moving forward at the moment, you know, whatever happens, the majority can still travel to the UK. Some fantastic venues, even through the winter months, that you can go and experience. You know, some of these top resorts like the Belfry or Turnberry, or some iconic venues that golfers can still take a group to and really enjoy a trip away. We're obviously hopeful that restrictions will be lifted at some point and golfers can continue to travel abroad. But again, if as a pro, if you're thinking about taking a group away, now is definitely the time to start planning. Things are probably just starting to quieten up a little bit of golf now as we come into this sort of autumn winter period. But with, you know, we talked about where we are with the pace of bookings for next year. James, you said exactly the same thing. We're a long way ahead now. So availability does get squeezed a bit with the amount of golf for next year already. So now really is the perfect time to start looking at doing a coaching break, taking a group of members away. It is the best time to start, so you can make sure we get the best tee times, make sure we can get you into the venues that you'd like to go to.
Great, and I guess any PGA members watching this, if they make their way to the PGA members area on the website, all of the Golfbreaks details for the team can be found on there, and anyone looking to make an inquiry, the details are on there. Ben, all your details are on there, and they can contact you personally. John, I'm interested. I know you've got a couple of breaks still to go this year. Where are you going?
We've got the one in Italy in November, PGA at Argentario. That's our first time to Tuscany. So we've got a group of women going there. So fingers crossed that works out. And then I'm speaking to Joe at Golfbreaks, but I get another UK break organised because the demand from Carden, the ladies want to go away, you know, get something else in the diary, possibly like a links venue, drains pretty well. But yeah, I just wanted to try and just get them in really. I think James raised a great point as well, which I sort of picked up at Carden Park about the staff at the venues, how you can see they're clearly balancing that, being professional with all the standards, but actually still engaging with the customers, having a great time because they are a way to have a great time. And I picked up on that myself, and I could just see how the staff are working brilliantly to get that fine balance, if you like, between professionalism, safety in mind, but let's keep things fairly as normal as we can and just give everyone a great experience. So I feel like that's my job as well. That's my job to try and take a similar lead. And I can see how much of a benefit golf is to a lot of people who are taken away in these great, physically and mentally, to be honest with you. It's after Carden Park, it just felt like the women had such a big almost relief almost. They've done it once, they'll do it again. Confidence is instilled. And golf's a massive outlet for people at this time, which, it's a tricky period. So if we can help keep giving these people the experiences, I think mentally more than physically, it's working brilliantly. So I'll keep doing what I can, working with Golfbreaks to get these trips in, because I'm seeing the benefits, week in, week out with with people I coach anyway, just on a day-to-day basis, with the benefits golf has given them. I think it's really important we keep doing that. Yeah,
absolutely. Gents, it's been great to spend some time talking about the travel industry and to share your insight and your experience and the information. It's been a really, really valuable 30 minutes. I know our members all really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedules. I know how busy you all are. James, thank you for joining us. Ben, James, John, sorry, apologies. Really appreciate you taking the time to join with us, and thanks very much.
Thanks, Richard.
Cheers, Rich. Thanks, mate.